On December 15th, the Knicks are going to be able to start making trades with some players on their roster. And according to multiple NBA insiders, they actually released some updates about the Knicks and potential trades that they could make. And the crazy thing about these reports are they're indicating what the Knicks tried to do during the offseason that they weren't able to pull off. They tried to go after Jimmy Butler. They tried to go after Kevon Looney. They even tried to go after Clint Capela, but they could not pull off any one of those trades. We're going to break down all of these latest reports and so much more today. But before we get started, guys, I'm not going to ask you to subscribe. I'm not going to ask you to do anything like that. I just want to say thank you. We just hit 20,000 subscribers on the channel. I don't even know what to say. Sometimes I look at the numbers and I am just so happy and humbled by it all. Thank you so much for showing so much support to this channel, to me, and everything we're trying to do for the Knicks community. Thank you guys again. I appreciate each and every single one of you. And now, let's get started. Insiders provide multiple trade updates for the Knicks and potentially what we can see them do at the trade deadline. Now, let me just make this clear before I even cover any one of these reports. Do I think that the Knicks are going to make a trade at the trade deadline? I don't believe so. Here's the reason why. The trades that we would make are to get players that would add defense to this team. We're getting Mitchell Robinson back. We're getting Landry Shamet back. We're getting Precious Achiuwa back, who, by the way, is now questionable for tomorrow's game against the Hornets. So he could be back as early as tomorrow. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. But if all of that is the case, maybe we don't have to make a trade. Maybe the best move is to stand pat and wait for us to get healthier and get more players back. Players that are going to help our defense. Mitchell Robinson, Precious Achiuwa, they're going to be two bigs that we can put right alongside Karl-Anthony Towns to try to implement that double big lineup. But before we talk about exactly what the Knicks are going to do in the future, we have to break down these latest trade reports from multiple NBA insiders. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these reports that we have today. Shout out to Knicks Muse on the app X for giving us the following information. This quote comes from Michael Scotto of Hoops Hype. He's an NBA insider as well, too. According to him, the New York Knicks have expressed interest in Jimmy Butler this past summer. However, talks didn't go far beyond exploratory interest before the Knicks acquired Mikal Bridges from the Nets, who were much more willing to make a trade than the Heat were at the time. Jimmy Butler? This was one trade I did not see coming. Obviously, you could see the signs in terms of why the Knicks would want to get somebody like Jimmy Butler, a wing, somebody who's great on offense, great on defense, somebody who played under Tom Thibodeau before. So clearly, there's a link there. But with the Knicks going after Karl-Anthony Towns, I'm pretty sure when they understood they were going that direction, Jimmy Butler was completely off the table at that point in time. As you heard, it was early on in the summer. That means the Knicks didn't even trade for Mikal Bridges at that time. They were trying to see who they were going to trade for. It is interesting, though, to note that during that time when they're trying to decide if they wanted to trade for Mikal, they also wanted to see if they wanted to trade for Jimmy Butler. I don't know how much you want to make out of that. Maybe they wanted to put pressure on the Brooklyn Nets by telling them, hey, if you don't trade me Mikal Bridges, I'm going to go somewhere else and try to get another player from another team. And all of these picks that you're supposed to get, they might go to another team. You never know what Leon Rose really wants to do, but hearing the fact that the Knicks had interest in Jimmy Butler in the offseason, that is pretty shocking to me. I would have never thought Leon Rose would have done that to the Knicks, and maybe he never would have. Again, power plays with this Knicks front office. You can never tell what's a power play and what's an actual move. And with Leon Rose, we're never going to know. That's how he rolls and operates. But honestly, at this point in time, I think everybody's pretty happy, especially the way this Knicks team is starting to come together, starting to gel. The way the chemistry is looking, everybody is happy with the moves the Knicks have made this offseason. But Hoops Hype was not done there. They also gave us some updates about Atlanta's Clint Capela and potentially where he's going to be on the trade market. According to Hoops Hype, executives across the league exploring the center market believe that Trae Young's longtime pick-and-roll partner Clint Capela could be a trade candidate in the final year of his contract worth $22.27 million. That's right. I didn't stutter. $22.27 million. final year of his contract. So you could easily trade for Capela, and if you did that and it didn't work out, he could walk. You could give up significant assets just for him to walk at the end of the year. It's no wonder why he probably has no trade value right now, because if he did, he probably would have been traded a long time ago. They're trying to build up that trade value as we speak, and reports like this are the way to do that. Keep that in mind as we cover it real quick. Hoops Hypes continues here by stating, sources said that teams such as the Knicks, the Grizzlies, and the Pelicans did their due diligence on Clint Capela this offseason before going in other directions. And clearly, the other direction that the Knicks went in was to trade for Karl-Anthony Towns. And I still think nobody is upset with the move at this point. Towns right now, in terms of a center on offense, is probably the best in the league. And we have him on this team right next to our superstar in Jalen Brunson, who is abusing the pick and roll, or at least the threat of the pick and roll with Karl-Anthony Towns. And I love to see that move game after game. It makes me excited. It makes me hype. And defenders don't know what to do. They don't know how to guard it. And every time they see it, their heads explode. They don't know if Jalen's going to attack, if Cat's going to attack, or if they're going to swing the ball and get it to an open shooter in the corner. Even if Clint Capela was available, I doubt the Knicks would go after him because of that contract. $22 million, and then he can walk if he wants to after this year? There's no way that Leon Rose is going to make that move. Not unless he is bought out and lands on the buyout market, and then he can get him on the roster that way. Unless it happens like that, he is not going to be part of this team. But the reports were not done there. They continued, and they started speaking about somebody else in Golden State, Kevon Looney. Shout out to Bleacher Report for giving us the following information. According to them, as the Golden State Warriors made several moves to improve their roster this offseason, a handful of teams were trying to land a key member of their squad. According to Michael Scotto, the New York Knicks, Oklahoma City Thunder, and Memphis Grizzlies were all interested in a trade for big man Kevon Looney early in the offseason. But according to Scotto, all three teams ultimately pivoted in other directions, and Looney remained in Golden State. I'm not trying to say that he's bad. I understand he's a former NBA champion, but so is JaVale McGee, right? And I don't want JaVale McGee on this team. Kevon Looney is a few years past his prime to join this Knicks team. I don't want him on this team, and I think if the Knicks were going to entertain adding another big to this roster, they can do a lot better than the options we just heard of Clint Capela and Kevon Looney. They can probably go out there and find other players that are available that they can get with the remaining assets that they have available. But again, that's only if they want to make a trade. If the Knicks are games above 500, not even close to it, and in December, we have one of the easiest schedules in the entire NBA. And if we utilize that schedule right, we could go on a 10-game win streak real fast. If that happens, I doubt the Knicks are going to make a trade, because all of the reinforcements that we want, all of the defense that we want, it is going to be coming to the Knicks anyways without them having to lift a finger, without them having to do anything. The only thing they're going to have to do is practice and gain chemistry together, like they've been doing all season long. They're just going to have to do that again once we have more players that come back from injury. But I don't think Achiuwa is going to have a problem fitting in, or even Robinson's going to have a problem fitting in. With Karl-Anthony Towns, with Jalen Brunson, those two on the floor, along with all of the shooters that we have, we space the floor very well right now. That makes it very ideal to have two bigs on the floor just to get rebounds, and also for Towns, he can do whatever he wants out there. That's what the future is going to hold for the Knicks right now. We're working on that double big lineup in practice. We're running it with Jericho Sims. We're going to run it with Mitchell Robinson. We are going to run it with Precious Achiuwa. And once we lock it down and we understand what it looks like, Tom Thibodeau will try it out against certain matchups. And when we get healthier and put some more players on this roster, they're going to be our bench. Will Tom Thibodeau utilize that bench? I think he'll utilize Achiuwa because he has the trust. I think he'll utilize Shamet because he has the trust. And even though Shamet is not really technically part of this team, when Thibodeau talks about the bench, he speaks about Shamet. He speaks about the fact that he was supposed to be a very big piece off the bench for New York. If the head coach is talking about you like that, and you're not really even on the team right now, I think that tells you everything you need to hear about Shamet's role when he returns. he's going to have significant minutes as well, too. And Robinson, I mean, for the last few seasons, Tom Thibodeau has trusted this man with the interior defense for New York. You're telling me he hasn't earned trust either? He has to earn some minutes as well, too. So what happens to Sims? What happens to the rest of these players? That's going to be one of the main questions I'm going to look to Tom Thibodeau to answer for me once we get healthier and get our players back. But honestly, getting healthy players back who are defensive-minded on a championship roster like the Knicks, that is music to my ears. I can't wait to see what this team looks like once we're fully healthy, because in my head, we look like one of the most dangerous teams that I've ever seen in Knicks history. And I've watched this team for a very long time. So trust me when I say, I'm not just saying that to blow smoke. I'm saying it because I'm seeing it right before my eyes. I don't know who's going to be able to stop us if our defense gets better and our offense stays the same, or even crazy to think, it gets even better. Because if that happens, we're running through the league and we're destroying every team on every single night. But what about you guys? What do you think about the following reports indicating that during this offseason, the Knicks had trade interest in Jimmy Butler, Clint Capela, and Kevon Looney with the Golden State Warriors? Let me know how you feel about that in the comment section below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans, take care of yourself, your families, and each other. Peace and love.